Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Blue Bayou, a movie that came out just recently on HBO Max, came out in theaters last year, 2021. Written, directed, and starring Justin Chon. This is an independent film. It's been a while since I've watched kind of just a simple indie. And this one was a good movie, a bit of a bummer. The subject matter, he is a grown man who was adopted from Korea, grew up in Louisiana, and due to situations of his life, he is now being deported. And it's really focusing on that type of a story, which apparently is a common story for a lot of people who were adopted in the 80s, adopted from other countries, where now the government is using a lot of different strategies in order to get those people deported if they ever have any kind of issues, which is sad, which is just another example of how just kind of horrible America is, how much of a sham it is that we are some kind of free country that is accepting of people and allowing people to be who they are. Meanwhile, humans are being treated like this. And it's sad. This guy who adopted from a Korean family, who couldn't take care of him or whatever. But the people that adopted him changed their mind, so then he ended up growing up in like foster care, ended up going to a family that eventually abused him in a lot of ways, and then after that got into a bit of trouble with the law. And this movie also kind of illustrates how difficult it is for people who have criminal records to get employment. Just kind of how things kind of start to compound on the difficulties of surviving in America as it is. And how ridiculous it is to think somebody is going to be able to survive on the scraps of pay that are federally guaranteed. The minimum wage being $7.50, and nobody can make... It's impossible to make a living earning that much. And anybody, like so many people fighting to keep that from being something that's increased. But aside from that, the difficulty in just getting work to begin with when you have a criminal record. And if you do have those problems getting jobs, getting work, then crime tends to be the only way in which you can get any kind of substantial money, whether it's for medical purposes or maybe to get a lawyer so you don't get deported. So this movie is kind of tackling all of those kinds of issues with this character whose wife, who's pregnant, has a kid with another guy who's a cop, of course. Cops start some shit, of course, just because they're cops, just kind of, in some ways, an accurate depiction of cops, but in other ways, this movie kind of lets them off the hook in some ways. But because of that, there's this cop that I got him for you, bro. I'm getting him deported. Put in this situation where he's going to get deported. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Now you can wear The Many Faces, original art by Ray Taylor. Select pieces from the ongoing series of abstract ink paintings. All products made with high-quality materials, made right here in the USA. Go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch to browse the entire collection and save yourself an extra 10% when you check out by using coupon code RTSTMF. So once again, go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch and save 10% when you use coupon code RTSTMF. And now back to our show. A good movie, a movie where he, he's in this situation now. He's got like two options. It's like either you can stay and fight it, but if you lose, then you're deported and you can never come back. Or you can leave and try and get citizenship, again. Or, the first time. Because he fell through these cracks where despite the fact that he grew up in America, he doesn't get, like, people didn't file the proper paperwork. Things were handled in the wrong ways in the 80s, and he's not considered to be an actual citizen. So that's why he's being deported. Just like all this bureaucratic bullshit falls through the cracks, loopholes, growing up in Louisiana, which I'm sure there's a heavy amount of racism that he dealt with, in addition to all of the other things. But needing to pay for this lawyer that costs $5,000 just for the retainer. It's like, it costs so much money to be poor. And it's like, it's so ridiculous to think that anybody who's poor can somehow dig their way out without getting away with crimes. I mean, you look at most successful families in the history of America generally were involved with crime. The Kennedys, the Trumps, all these kind of families came from committing crimes and being involved with crime. But then some people, it's, if you don't get away with it, if you don't make the money, big money, and then hire big lawyers, then things don't turn out the same way. He meets a friend. He meets somebody, this Vietnamese lady, who reminds him of his mom. He's going through like all these thoughts now that he could potentially be deported back to Korea, which he's never lived before. Never lived in Korea before. He's only ever remembered existing in America. And now he's going to be deported to this country he's never existed in, or has no memories of existing in. But after meeting this woman, he starts having it brings up some memories of his mom, of what it was like. And they form like a friendship, and that's kind of sweet. There's issues that he has with his wife, obviously, with the husband who's a cop, or the ex-husband who's a cop, the baby daddy who's a cop. So interesting dynamics in that. There's this idea of splitting up the boat. His friend, this Vietnamese lady, that her family, when when they escaped, there was a situation where the father split the family onto two different boats. That way, if one of the boats didn't make it, at least some of the family would be able to survive. And that idea is carried through to the end of the movie, which I kind of appreciated that. Like, there's small little nuanced aspects to this movie that I appreciate. Overall, it's not a masterpiece. I think it's a solid independent movie. Definitely, mood-wise, didn't really necessarily help my mood. Kind of a bummer of a movie in general. Typical independent, Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. There's an extremely emotional scene, this goodbye scene, which I didn't really buy. Like, it's at an airport, he's being deported, ICE is there, and he's given like this time to say goodbye to his kid. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of time that is allowed to him. People are really able to get inside this airport as well, which is kind of weird. I haven't been to an airport since before 9/11, so I don't know. I know things have changed, but it really just doesn't seem like a scene that would actually happen. But definitely an emotional scene. You have the visuals of having a child being ripped from their parent. Just the whole situation sucks. And then the end credits, it highlights a bunch of people where this is happening or happened to. Where it's like they were adopted, in like the 80s, and now they're adults and they're either being deported, have been deported, they're in the process of being deported. Like, it's insane. It is insane that your life that you had zero control over because of our racist government, you could now be forced to go back to a country you have no connection to. It's insane. It's just like this movie is just another example, right? There's so many examples of why America is just a garbage place. Just really has zero value for human life, right? Absolutely zero. Like, kids die in schools all the time, mass shootings everywhere, guns are far more protected by the government than women, just racism and just like every kind of hateful thing. Rights are being taken away. And then also there's this situation where kids are being adults who grew up in America, who were thought to be American citizens, are sent back to a country they have no connection to. Just disgusting. Another reason why ICE as a government department is like one of the most inhuman government branches there are. But anyway, it's an interesting movie. This guy Justin Chon wrote, directed, acting. I thought his performance was great. Some of whoever the DP was had some dirty gaits. Like, there's a few scenes where you see like hairs and stuff in the framing, and it's independent film, a little rough around the edges obviously, but it's been a while since I've watched kind of just a gritty kind of independent film, and I liked it. I'm interested to see what he does next. Definitely a unique voice, a unique story, and it's on HBO Max. So if you want to check it out. Blue Bayou.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.